Okay guys, small video in English. Nothing else to do. I've been out jogging. Actually it's a small rain here, but it just came and left. This blue sky again. The humidity is horrible, but I don't mind. It's sweaty. Sure, one of our creeks, which during rainy season is filled up, but now it's just a beautiful jungle, and there is no water in it because it hasn't been raining except 2-3 minutes today. As you see here next to the creek, it's beautiful. It's a jogging path. You can also bike around it. It's stunningly beautiful view, and it's really like being in the rainforest. You can see the trees, and what you can feel is the smell is the wrong word, the scent. Anyway, Sweden 2021. Through this pandemic, we have, according to the PM, we have closed borders. We've still taken in over 40,000 by end of April of luxury tourists, all inclusive. It comes from various countries in Africa. We have a foreign minister who flies in private planes. The same prime minister was out celebrating the end of the Ramadan. She's a Swedish foreign minister, sorry. She's never celebrated or congratulated a Swedish holiday in her career, but when the religion of peace is having a holiday or something special, she's the first one congratulating them. Can you imagine that for a Swedish foreign minister? She don't care about Swedes. 2 days ago we had a terrorist attack in Sweden. Now the newspapers and the police is trying to downgrade it. They said it was because the police arrested a gang leader and this was the revenge. That's bullshit. That's pure bullshit. It was over 20 places in a place called Eskilstuna where cars, motorcycles, mopeds burned basically within an hour. The coordinated attack on Swedish society. Because remember, Sweden is a failed state. We have a civil war ongoing. This was probably the worst attack we've had without casualties. One casualty is of course a lot worse than casualties of cars and vehicles. They were throwing Molotov cocktails at the police. They were putting gasoline around police cars and turned on. Police didn't do anything. They didn't even draw their weapons. They're letting these immigrants do whatever they want in our formerly beautiful, safe country, who's now completely destroyed. We had in a place a couple of days ago called Åkersberga, 2 lines of cars was parked. 17 cars were burned, just like in Beirut in Lebanon during the civil war. No difference. And this is in Sweden, guys. The most homogeneous, safe country in the world 20 years ago, before the moderate party and the social democrats decided to destroy it by importing gangsters, criminals, by taking all the prisons and the mental hospitals in the MENA region, let them immigrate to Sweden, give them a huge amount of money, housing, the 9 yards. The way they thank Sweden is to make Sweden a MENA country, start a civil war. Even though they have everything they need. They're calling it ghettos where they live. They say they don't have anything, but they have social security, everything paid for, the latest clothes, and so on and so forth. Free school, free kindergartens, free preschool, whatever they want, whatever they point their fingers on, they get it from the Swedish taxpayers. As long as they vote Social Democrats and left, that's the only condition. We have an election coming up next year, and right now the left and the Social Democrats are mad importing people. Because in Sweden, believe it or not, you don't have to be a citizen to vote. You need to be a resident. That's enough in local and regional elections. It's absolutely sick. So by giving these people money, they will vote for them. It's a corruption at its highest level. There's a lot more going on in Sweden at the moment. We had what else? The last couple of days. I can't even remember. There's so much going on. We had a guy from Afghanistan. He chopped up 7 Swedish people. Now the newspaper and the media is out supporting him and said he has psychological problems. And after he's served his sentence, we can't send him back to Afghanistan because they don't have good psychological care in Afghanistan. So we got to keep him in Sweden and pay for him for the rest of his life, thanks to that he butchered 7 people because he was supposed to be deported. He didn't want to be deported. So the reward is you chop up 7 people, spend a couple of years in a nut house, and then you're free to roam around in Sweden for the rest of your life, paid by Swedish taxpayers. That's how sick it is. I can't even explain. What else is happening in Sweden? Yeah, this terrorist attack in Eskilstuna. The Prime Minister, the Justice Minister, nobody has made a comment about it. When a deep fryer burned in a mosque a couple of years back, the Prime Minister was there in a couple of hours, condemned the attack against the mosque. He never apologized. It was a deep fryer that burned through faulty electrical wires, but he was very quick. He still hasn't condemned a 12-year-old girl that was shot by imported gangsters who were shooting at each other. She came in the crossfire. He never mentioned that. That wasn't important for him. The only thing important for him is to import as many criminals as possible and make a complete mess out of Sweden. He thinks he can stay in power that way. He should be jailed, sentenced to life, together with his right hands, left hands, whatever he has. He's basically the biggest traitor not only Sweden has seen, but a lot of other countries. He's completely destroyed Sweden. Together with the former PM Fredrik Reinfeldt, he started this mess. And now we have nowhere to go. We have no military. They took the whole military and dismantled it. We have no police force. They send one of their right-hand guys called Don Eliasson to destroy the police. We call it Donald Duck police. And to finish this, a quick thing in English. May 1 we had demonstrations in Stockholm against, it's basically, we wanted peace. Peace and freedom, they called the demonstration. It was maybe a couple of thousand people, and they said it was against the pandemic law. There was more policemen. I've never seen anything like it. We had the special forces of the police, and they were arresting 75, 80-year-old Swedes who was doing their constitutional right to protest. They blamed it on the pandemic law, which is illegal under the constitution of Sweden to start with. It's a long story. I'm not going to go in why it's illegal, but I can do it in a separate program. And then here, last week, we had a group of Colombians, about 300, maybe 400, who demonstrated in a place called, what was it called? The central Stockholm, Sergels Torg. You're only allowed to congregate 8 people. 300 Colombians could demonstrate, waving Colombian flags. The police did nothing, they watched. Last Saturday, we had another demonstration for freedom in Sweden. The police cracked down on the Swedish retirees and the elderly Swedish in the demonstration with force to break it up. At the same time, a couple of hours later, Hamas and the Palestinians had demonstrations. A lot more than, there were thousands of people. What did the police do? They walked hand in hand and said, oh, this is a very peaceful demonstration. And they were shouting, dead to Israel. They were shouting that they're going to take over Sweden by force and kill people like dogs. That was okay by the police. The chief of police went out and made a statement and said, oh, these were really friendly, peaceful people. The people who understood their language had a different view of it. the law applies to all, otherwise none at all. Not in Sweden. If you're from Palestine, you can do whatever you want. If you're a terrorist, the police supports you. It gives you free passage, even though we have the pandemic law, which they used against the native Swedes. What else to finish this off? Yeah, a friend of mine in Malmö, southern Sweden, he said last week they had another demonstration pro-Hamas and pro-Palestine, pro-terrorists in Malmö. And there was thousands of people. They had children sitting on the roof of the cars, on the hoods. And there was, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of cars driving slowly, waving Palestine flags and shouting death to Israel. That was okay by the police. But the biggest point there is, to finish this video, the protesters were driving Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, all $100,000 plus cars, and they were refugees in Sweden. They have no job. You can wonder how they can come as refugees driving these expensive cars that the Swedes can't even dream about. He said the oldest car was about 2 years old. Explain that one to me. Alright guys, I promise you something in English. I've done a commitment. It's supposed to be 3 minutes, it became 11.5 minutes, but I got going, and it's such a lovely weather at the moment, with the scent of the trees and the birds and everything. It's always like that after rain when the sun comes up. So I got going. But have a good time, and I'll try to make another video next week in English. We don't get any views, but a commitment is a commitment. Even I get 50 views, I'm happy. I want to spread the words about what a disaster Sweden has become around the world. And I also spread this video. My friends put it up on their channels. They get the views, so we get more views than we think. So have a great day, everybody, and you English speaking supporting Sweden, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. Take care and cheers.